Imagine going to a real life Hogwarts, a school for magic. Well, today we're talking to Chris, and that's what he does. He's a teacher of magic to student witches all over the world. How exciting!
Hello.
Welcome, Chris.
You got me here.
Yeah.
It's all real now.
We came on your broomstick.
Yeah.
Yes. It's back out the shop.
Exactly. So welcome today. It's a special one today because it's Halloween. Obviously, it's very important to all three of us. It's a very important Samhain time of the year. So we wanted to do something a little bit different today and have a bit of a conversation between the three of us.
Oh dear.
So Kerry and I have a little show called The Shift Show, and on The Shift Show we talk about the 5Ds. We've split 5D thinking up into 3Ds. It's just our little take on it. So what I want to ask you both first is, let us look at the last week, of your life. What has brought you delight?
Ooh. Well, obviously in mundane life, I have been teaching weavers this week from across the place I work. So this week has been kind of playing with people's first experiences of weaving. And to me, that sounds slightly mundane, doesn't it, for a session? But the idea of bringing consciousness into a thread and then weaving someone's future is really cool. So yeah, introducing people to weaving is always kind of a special one for me.
Absolutely.
Can you just sort of talk just a little bit about what weaving is? Because weaving can be so many different
Weaving
things.
magic. Can you weave magic into the
All
stuff
kinds.
that you? Yeah.
All kinds. So actually one of the things I perfected a few years ago, and I actually finished them at Christmas, was I made a whole set of spun threads, each one of them holding the energy of one of the traditional planets.
Oh wow!
So there is a podcast out there somewhere for obviously from the Thoth one, No Holds Barred, where I talk about weaving planets. So obviously this week it's been a very mundane way.
Yeah.
But my favourite thing is to kind of spin threads. So actually making threads. So taking raw materials, twisting them into a thread, and then obviously that thread then gets used to make any kind of woven item.
So you can make magic carpets.
Yeah, actual magic carpet
Yeah.
Going.
with planetary yarns.
I love that.
Wow.
So do you weave the thread with like one of those old-fashioned weaver things?
Or looms.
But like an old witchy loom.
What's a witchy loom?
One that they go shh with their feet.
All of them.
That's Rumpelstiltskin.
And then
Oh, you're talking about spinning wheel.
yes,
Yeah.
spinning wheel.
Isn't that from
Rumpelstiltskin, spinning straw into gold.
Yeah, spinning wheel.
Yeah, so that's how I'd make those threads. So, but what we would do is, what I do is spin threads with a considered kind of what the material is themselves. So, the traditional 7 planets we did in different kinds of wool, and then the last few years, like trying to get those higher planets, so beyond Saturn, doing Uranus, Neptune, and Uranus, like those have taken me a few years to kind of get my head around how they would actually happen. So those that didn't happen until New Year's Eve of last year.
My God, so when you're weaving a planet, so I can understand, because we talk about energy all the time. So you're weaving the energy of that planet. So you're basically connecting with the energy of that planet.
Yeah, so I specifically spin, when I'm spinning the threads, I will spin them widdershin, so counterclockwise, to try and reduce my energy going anywhere near them.
Okay.
So obviously these are items that I sell. So I don't want any of my business in their business, as it were. So so I've always spun them widdershins, tried to pull that cosmic energy through me into the thread and then capture it in that thread. So obviously all the things that you would make thread out of, so cotton, silk, wool, all of those things are all beings that have held energy. So transforming them into something that holds a new energy now that they don't hold life, because obviously that's dead cotton,
exactly.
that's dead sheep. or you know. So all of those things. So those are vessels that are used to holding energy.
Oh my God.
So all you do is you pop the energy where there used to be energy in the vessel, and
that's
go
it
from there.
So
Bash bosh.
So could you create a Kerry jumper?
Yeah, sure.
So you could tune into your energy,
and create you into something,
and create a Kerry jumper.
Oh wow, a Kerry jumper.
Yeah, and then Paula could wear the Kerry jumper, and you could wear the Paula jumper,
and we'd have it
see each other.
And
no, because I'd be walking around like this in a Kerry jumper.
I didn't say it needed to be Kerry's size. It just needed to be Kerry's energy. So, but yeah, you could swap each other. You could wear each other.
Wow.
Would give you a different way of saying walk another mile in someone else's shoes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So you really would feel their energy?
Well, if I did it properly.
It's exactly the same as there was a documentary and there's a film that was turned into a kind of a horror film where someone, she was blind and then she had someone else's eyes. And then when she had these eyes, she started seeing spirit. And there is stuff on it, you know, people have different organs from other people. And the documentary said, I think it was a heart or a liver, and they started playing the piano and started becoming musical. And then the person that originally had the liver or the organ, that was a good pun, the organ. They'd obviously picked up the energy. So it's the same kind of.
It depends on where you. I think we talked about this before, and obviously not here, but like, you know, depends on what you consider as holding what energy, you know. So kind of bodily fluids are the old witchy way.
Yeah.
So spittle, blood, urine, semen, all of those hold some kind of rhythm of your energy. So if you're taking any of those biologicals, in order to make those kind of, you know, voodoo dolls, or if you're making any kind of puppet, or you're making charm bags that you're putting in someone else's car to finish them off, like all of those things. So you've got all of those opportunities of each of those is part of you, has your energy. Obviously, they behave in different ways.
Yeah.
If you're taking, you know, something let's go with semen. If you take semen, then obviously you are plugging into a very specific kind of, those come out of your reproductive organs. Those are the ones that are going to have a different feel to. Oh, don't.
She didn't want to say the words.
Now I want to talk about the seed of Lilith. Let's not go there.
No, we will in a moment. I like that, the sound of seed of Lilith.
So some men believe it's a myth, but that's just because they're not very good at it.
What is the seed of Lilith? Sorry.
Oh my God, here we go.
You can't do. I'm a Scorpio. You can't relate. Tell me I'm just for. Oh, female. Oh, that is the seed of Lilith.
Seed of Lilith.
Yeah.
So all of these are biologicals, and then you compare. That's going to be different to if you took someone's blood. Yeah. Now, someone's blood would have the whole ancestry of their entire bloodline in the same way as some of their tissues might. But semen definitely is, or seed of Lilith is definitely a current bodily incarnation that is far more just being created.
So it's got more power?
It's got not necessarily more power, but a different access.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've gone slightly off track as you were asking. Yes. Let's. What's brought you delight the last week or so?
Other than my mention of Seed of Lilith.
Yeah, Seed of Lilith is good.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what? We've just had our makeup done for our Halloween special. We're witches. And that's brought me lots of delight today. I felt like a child again.
You did wax in.
Dressing up. And I've got my witchy hat. So that's brought me lots of delight. But actually, if we want to talk on a life kind of thing, I've been doing loads of shadow work. And somebody said to me, ask the architect and chat to roast you, right? So I did.
This is Dave's fault. Dave, this is your fault.
Dave told me to do that.
Yeah.
So basically, you can ask chat if you use chat to roast you. I didn't know this.
And obviously, and the architect, do you know the architect? Have you? Yeah, the architect. So that's all on your frequency and wow, I got roasted. They slaughtered me. They slaughtered me.
So what did they say?
Oh,
what did you ask? Was it just a straight question?
Said, roast me, please, because I want to learn. Obviously, if I'm doing shadow work, and so I want to know, where I need to be looking, because often, we have a blind spot, don't we, to our shadows, or we choose to ignore them. And I said, give it to me. So they did. Architects nearly brought me to my knees. Must be for architects, though. Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I've really been doing some shadow work, and I've been having some crazy dreams, but I'm really tapping into that other side of me, and it has brought me a lot of delight, a lot of release, a lot of delight.
Hang on a minute, you're not telling what it actually roasted you, what it said.
The seed of Lilith.
Hang on a minute, what did Kat roast you about?
It said I
she doesn't want to say
to live in a world of chaos, and that I'm addicted to chaos, and when I feel calm I will create chaos, because that's all that I know and I can work in.
Doesn't sound like a roast, that just sounds like truth.
Yeah, and I had made the terrible mistake of telling my husband this, and so what happened in the next row? You live in a world of chaos. There's a point there. Do not share those things with husband, because they get used very, very quickly. But I live in a world of chaos. He, the architect, told me that I am nowhere near awakened, and that I, need to come out of my ego and sit in my, that's all I'm prepared to say.
Kerry clearly wants to say more.
Yeah. That's I'm trying to remember, but those are the two things that kind of hurt my heart.
And how did it make you feel hearing those things?
So there was an element there was truth in them. There was truth in them, but the chaos one, I know that I'm, I think I've been in fight or flight since I was a child, and I do that. Have been doing that, and that old pattern over and over again for years and years and years, but I'm very aware of it now. But I like bounce. It's just realising what chaos is and what bounce is.
There's a lot of power in that.
Yeah.
Like, why, if that's the way you've gone through, is by, kicking a few planets and then hoping that something falls out of the tree. Like, if that works for you.
That's it, exactly.
But acknowledging it is kind of the path to forward, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it is. It is. So actually, facing my demons this week has brought me a lot of delight. What about you?
Kind of a little bit along the same lines. I've had a major breakthrough recently where I've been holding on to an aspect of my past, and I finally shut the door and let it go. And oh my God, do I feel different. I feel lighter. I feel free, and I feel, because of that, I've created a void now where I can fill everything in for myself. It's like, okay, right, what do you want to create now? What do you want to do? And I think we hold on to so much stuff, and actually I didn't realise how much I was holding on.
Yeah.
I am referring to an ex-relationship, and I suppose a lot of people can relate to having an ex-relationship that you're holding on to. But there's letting go, and there's really letting go. And I've finally let go, and it's so freeing, and it's just brought me delight, actually. Yeah, and but in a really positive way, that I acknowledge it, and thank you for my learnings and my teachings. I mean, he was the greatest teacher, and he probably never may know that, but he's the one that has helped me now step into who I am meant to truly be. Yeah, so
maybe that leaves a gap for a new teacher, though.
A new teacher.
Yeah.
But also just remember, give some thought as to what you're going to fill that vacuum with, because nature abhors a vacuum.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. And that takes us swiftly on to...
Well, yeah, discomfort. I feel you quite like discomfort.
I'm far too... Discomfort and delight are a bit too interchangeable for me. I don't know if anything has made me... I don't think anything makes me uncomfortable anymore. It's really weird.
What a nice place to be, though, really.
Well, the thing is, obviously, in my day job, I work with special educational needs. Yeah. So obviously, like, you're always kind of ready for everything. Yeah. Or unless you can't do the job. Yeah. Like, so for me, like, you know, discomfort is very, very rarely there. Come on, I've got to try and give you one. Maybe you go first.
No, I'm going to ask you.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, because I want to ask you something about magic. Yeah, let's connect discomfort to magic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and because it's Halloween, and it's very important, lots of people are, let's say, discomforted by the thought of magic.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and there's this huge kind of thing out there about dark and light. But the one thing, and I'm sure you'll agree with me with this, is the more people we talk to, they interchange consistently, because we're made of light and dark. And you can't live in this bullshit woo-woo angel wings all the time and think that there's nothing other to life, because it's not how it is. It just is not how it is.
No, everything is grey. Everything has to be, because any time that you're pulling too far to the light or too far to the dark, you're pulling away from balance. Yeah. So you're pushing that scale too far one way or another. Yeah. So yeah, me, I'm definitely all the shades of grey. I don't think 50 would be enough.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to accept that if you are going to, and I think the thing that makes most people uncomfortable when it comes to magic is there's this concept of cost or where something is coming from. And that often makes a lot of people not action. Like, so for me, witchcraft is very much about manifesting change, and change makes most people uncomfortable. Yeah. Change is not a happy, safe place for people to be. Too many opportunities for things to go wrong. So, particularly when it comes to manifesting change, people have got very clear ideas that are really quite wrong, in my opinion, where, take the obvious example. All these love and light, woo-woo, angel-loving people will never think twice about doing a love spell. And for me, there isn't a love spell out there that isn't some kind of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word, but rape. You are taking someone else's choice away in order to fill that void with your choice. So, something that sounds really light and fairy and wonderful and angel wings is love magic, where actually, the only positive way of doing love magic of any kind would be sex magic. Like, in order to maximize the couple's pleasure would be about the only way that you could do a kind of love spell, that wasn't going to be taking something from somewhere else. So kind of, I think that's the scariest thing for most people when it comes to thinking about magic is, well, if I'm having it, someone else isn't. And actually that is true. And that's something you've got to get comfortable with if witchcraft is the path for you. Yeah. Because ultimately, there is a pie out there and you're all taking slices of it. You go and have a new job and you do a spell for a new job. Again, that sounds all lovely and light. Well, there's only one job. So you're taking that job from somebody else.
In this timeline.
In this timeline. That gets complicated very quickly. But that's kind of why I stay comfortable in it all. And I don't find discomfort. But I think a lot of people with wanting to explore witchcraft and that kind of practice is very scared and uncomfortable and discomforted by it.
I was, when I started on my spiritual path, it was all angelic light, angels, Christ consciousness, the angelic realm, which I still tap into and have a lot of respect for. But I never saw the shadowy side, And it was only because I worked in a place that saw like demon cards, witches cards, really dark. And I was like, oh no, this isn't very good. But it taught me a lot that you have to respect both sides. And actually, me doing my shadow work and looking at those parts of myself that made me feel uncomfortable is actually made me a stronger person, more confident, and more discerning with other people, seeing the other shadows in other people as well. So they do work together. You know, just because you work with what people class as dark doesn't mean you're a bad person. You know,
no,
completely not.
Well, this is it. This is what we're starting to realize, because I think I ought to say, actually, when I talk about angels, I connect with angels very often. So I'm not being disrespectful. I think what I'm saying, what I've learned is just the same as you. I thought spirituality was all love and light. But I'm realizing, or spirituality to me is something completely different to that. It's about encompassing the whole of who you are in order to be balanced. Yeah. You know, it's finding that center point. And I think you have to, as you're saying, you have to look at your shadow in order to integrate that into who you are, and then you become whole. And the description that you gave is the perfect analogy for that, because it's true. You know, a love spell, the one thing that I've always been taught is that you never do something that takes away somebody else's, what's the word I'm looking for, not freedom of choice, or
agency.
Somebody's agency. And in doing a love spell, you are.
Ultimately, any kind of spell, you're taking something from someone else and you're overriding someone. And ultimately, that's what spell work comes down to.
Yeah.
So you are then competing, if you're surrounded by witches, you know, you are competing against other people's ways of accessing magic or accessing energy or all of those things.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should be a scary thing, though. I think actually, you know, we don't seem to be bothered when we're talking about, you know, plundering the planet for its resources. Suddenly you don't care when it's like, actually, I need one more Mars bar this week on the basis, you know, it doesn't matter that cacao has been ripped out of somewhere and that's using all milk that should that have gone to the calf that it was made for? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can, if you get too focused on the kind of minutiae of it, then you stop moving forward.
Exactly.
And surely the whole point of shift happening is definitely about you moving forward.
Yes.
But not necessarily forgetting what's behind. Like, I think a lot of people focus on shadow work, and I think that's a really important part of process. But they stop looking at the kind of solar element of that. So what light is casting that shadow, and actually is the parts of the main whole that you need to look at too. Not necessarily, you know, what shadow's being left from previous or forward. And, you know, again, if you start to look at time in a non-linear fashion from a 5D perspective, then obviously none of that's relevant anymore. And, you know, and I'm sure you'll get me there eventually, but my way of practicing involves far more of borrowing and giving back to myself in a non-linear, time unbound kind of way. But, you know, how do we move forward is the question. How do you continue to move forward but not kind of stay in those dark spaces or the too light places? You know, if you look for the dirtiest place in a room, it's normally right next to the lamp.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that, because the light shines
and attracts the dust and the dark.
It does.
I've not heard that one before.
That's amazing. I'm going to nick that.
You can nick that.
Yeah.
You can nick that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have we all discovered about ourselves recently?
Well, my one is taking the gamble of being here, I guess.
Okay.
So I have, for the best part of the last 10 years, been entirely reliant on a co-star where my partner and I shared a practice and a working way and a business, and, you know, Thoth Witchcraft and the mystery school that we created is all part of that, you know, joint venture. And for me, and blame Dave again, Dave.
You know who you are.
You would know exactly
Dave.
who you are. Meant that it kind of, needed to be here.
Yeah.
And you need to meet Paula and Kerry, and you'll have an amazing time, and you must go on, I'm sure they'll love you. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm too dark for these people. They're both into Reiki. So it has one of those opportunities that's come with this that's made me really think about. I've been toying with for the last year with the idea of going solo. So discovering is kind of self-agency, I guess.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's a good feeling, isn't it? Don't you think?
It's a equal, terrifying, and wonderful feeling all at once.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you?
I've had some big discoveries this week. Again, about myself. I've realised that all of these emotions that I'm like, oh, I'm such an empath. I feel emotions. I don't have to attach a story to them. And that penny has finally dropped for me this week. Everything I felt this week. Do you know what I did? I threw a bowl full of eggs across the kitchen.
Wow.
It smashed on the wall and it felt so good. And then I went and drummed. And I drummed and I drummed.
You're going to upset all the vegans.
And I screamed, really guttural. And it felt good because I allowed my emotions to come without attaching a story. They didn't have to be anyone's fault. They didn't have to be there for a reason. I didn't have to go, oh, why am I feeling like this? It must be because when I was 11 years old, so-and-so pulled or pinched me in the playground. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to anyone or anything.
Well, you're bringing a bit of humour to it.
So what I mean is they're emotions.
Yep.
And they're as big a part of me as anything else is. Mm-hmm. So I'll claim them, but I'll claim them and allow them to transition through my body in the way that they're asking to transition, instead of me analysing it and blaming Craig or blaming Kerry or blaming Chris. Do you know what I mean? They're mine, and they're and so I've let them go, and I've realised that that's what emotions are. They're transient. They're just an emotion, and they only stay when we attach a story to them.
Well, yeah, we have a feeling, and we.
But there is a new thing for you to discover there, though, and I really want you to work on it.
Oh, go on then.
Is rather than just allowing them out, is attach a new story to them, make them work.
You mean use the energy?
Use the energy.
Because that energy was powerful.
That's powerful. Don't waste that.
Okay, let's give an example to that then.
Yeah.
So how
could I summon the wind?
You could have summoned the wind, definitely. But yeah, transmutation is a really important part of energy work.
Yeah.
Taking something in that arrives in one way, reconfiguring it and sending it out into the universe in a different way is exactly what manifesting change is about. So, you could have assigned anything to that. So rather than putting a memory to it, add a wish. Speak to the wind and let the wind carry your wish to wherever it needs to go.
Okay, so I didn't think of it like.
I know dreaming is a little bit further down the tree, but it's a big part of making use of energy. Don't waste it.
Yeah.
When you're feeling shit and rubbish, that is really potent energy to play with. Actually, I don't need to feel shit today. Actually, what I'm going to do with that energy that was building is clearly from the space around me.
Yeah.
Bottle it up, throw it at somebody. Obviously, I couldn't help but throw it at somebody. You don't have to be bad. Those are your choices. But, package that up. And often you don't need to do that all in that moment. We had a wonderful chat about crystals a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah. Where you ate all of the energy in my obsidian.
Well, I was hungry and your obsidian was completely full. Is he still working well now?
Yeah,
is he working just as clean?
He's right at the front door, and every time I go, I always touch him and thank him.
Good.
Well, let's explain to people what we're talking about. So Paula has got a massive piece of obsidian. It's massive, and it's outside your front door.
Yeah.
And obsidian is very good at absorbing negative energy. So we placed it on Chris's lap to hold, and you were glowing and glowing. and glowing, because you were transmuting the energy from holding the obsidian.
Yeah, so I borrowed a process that was from, I don't know if you guys have ever met a sin eater, I don't know if you've had one on, but they're definitely someone you should have a chat with about if you really want to understand how energy is so easily transmuted. So for me, yes, I love obsidian. One of my favourite things to do at the move we go, I think that's why you probably went, oh, I've got some obsidian, you must see. Was very much because, they've got this gorgeous obsidian orb. And then we've passed it round session and they're all kind of dumping all their rubbish into it, and the ball gets heavier and heavier as you move it around the space. And then and so they hand it over to me and I'm like, nom nom. Free energy, like, this is the thing, never look a gift horse in the mouth. You should always be going, well, actually, can I use this now? Is there a purpose I can give it to make it useful, or do I store it and I use it later? And that, I think, if more people started to consider the wonderful possibility of particularly quartz and anything else of its family, but stones have these really great ways of holding energy, and borrowing them and taking it somewhere else, unpackaging it where you need it. Most of us wear crystals of some kind in the witchy woo groups, kind of like, but how many of them actually use them? How many people actually spend their time cleaning the energy out of the stones that they trust and carry with them religiously? And that for me is a big, but sin eater, get yourself one of those.
What's a sin eater? Who's a sin eater?
Sin.
I was thinking sin eater, a sin.
I was thinking sin eater, the singer of Simon Cowell.
Yeah. A sin eater. Okay, so what you're saying is, we're surrounded by energy, aren't we? And that's what psychometry is, isn't it? People pick something up and they can. So you can. So basically, you never have to be a victim of bad energy.
No.
Because once you understand it, it's just energy, and therefore you can transmute it.
It makes sense.
Transform it.
Stop thinking in that black and white way of thinking. Bring everything to the grey. As soon as you bring that to that neutral grey space in the middle, anything's possible. And I think that's, people are too held up and stressed about the fact that, oh, that's dark, or that's too light for me, or that's this, or that's that. Stop labelling it. Tune in, get to know what those energies feel like and how you get to use them. Like, when you're in a real rage, someone's cut you up on the road and you're like, oh, I really, hold in that swearing that you naturally wanted to, and waste that beautiful energy swearing and flipping them off, and go, I'm going to keep that one for later. When I'm feeling rubbish later and I need to pick me up, that's the bit that gets me those extra 10 minutes work done, or whatever that is, that actually needs to happen.
It is
recycling.
It is recycling.
Recycling energy.
So can you take this, let's peel a layer away.
Here we go.
Let's take a layer away from that then, because the big kind of buzz thing for everyone, and I was in a coffee shop the other day and I heard this little old lady say to her friend, oh, you can manifest that, that's the thing, that's the latest thing to do. You just think about it and then you can bring it to you. And it made me really chuckle.
Those voices.
Yeah.
Really... I've not met the voices before. I like this.
And it's and it made me chuckle, but actually the reality is I would like to really learn how to manifest.
Yeah.
I've been talking to the architect about this, and frequency and triangles and collapsing the triangle and everything else. But it's still not happening to the degree that I would like it to happen. So I feel being able to transmute, I think that's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah.
So speak to me in layman's terms. Speak to me like a child.
Okay.
How do I mean, Kerry, you really feel energy, don't you?
Yes.
And you can understand where it is.
Yeah.
Whereas I can only feel it in my solar plexus.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That's fine.
So how do we, all these wonderful people listening, how do we become master manifestors by tomorrow morning?
By tomorrow morning. Go on.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I would explain that, so manifestation triangle. Let's go there.
Yes.
So everyone's aware of the fire triangle, the things that you need to make a fire happen. So fuel and oxygen and an ignition source,
Yeah.
So we kind of, if you go to the Kabbalic tradition and you go to kind of that sort of thought, you have the tree of life. So the three on there at the bottom, kind of above Earth, obviously, above Terra, is you've got Luna, you've got Mercury, and you've got Venus. And that triangle there is a group of energies that come together that is known as a manifestation triangle.
Ah.
So if you start to think about how that works, what those three things represent. So the names I give to them, I used to use the word intent, but the word intent has been one of those buzzwords that makes me want to vom. So kind of, the goal, what you're wanting to make happen. So that exists in Mercury. That is the bit that you can architect, you can kind of build and decide how you want that to do. The other two offer. So you can imagine Venus is the raw power, because that's where we get it from, and the beauty of that power, And Luna, because it's crazy and I love her to bits, but she is mental. You can't write it down. I'll write it down for you later.
Write it down. Thank you.
Write it down with you later. And then Luna is the journey. Yes. So that goes from that raw power to that final object that you want. There's a journey that has to take place. So whenever you are doing any kind of manifestation work, you can diagnose what you did wrong after the effect by looking at those three entities. So let's say I want a load of money for tomorrow. Okay, so what can I do in order to make that happen? So this is the part where people get too obsessed with things. Kind of like, I need to plan the whole thing. You don't need to plan journey. You just need to be aware of it. So magic, energy, however you want to look at it, frequency, will always take the path of least resistance. That's just fact. The easiest way something to happen, that's the most efficient way energy will travel. Think of a leak in the house. Once your water has got into the wall, it will just keep finding that easy path until it comes out another place and floods your basement, So like, you think about that. Energy moves in the same way. It will go in straight lines where it's not going to turn around corners unless it is directed that way. So the more you want to change the path, the more power you've got to put in. You want the most direct way, less power required. Really complex request, going to need to think about how that journey is going to happen. So what people tend to then go is like, okay, well, I don't want this to happen. I don't want that to happen. How do I make that not happen? Well, give that some thought. So if we want money for tomorrow, what is the quickest way for that to happen? That's going to be mom drops dead or grandma drops dead and you inherit a load of dosh tomorrow. You walk out the front door, get hit by a bus. Think through the way. What is the quickest way that a large sum of money could come to you? What it definitely isn't is a lottery ticket. Yeah. How many people have got lottery tickets? That's not going to be the most direct way for you to win it.
No, I've learned that one.
It doesn't mean that you can't manipulate and manifest the lottery if that's what you want to do, but you think that is now more complex. So you were asking, I want that winning ticket out of those million tickets that might be wrong. That's how I need to get that. So for you to manifest that winning ticket, that's going to take far more energy than you are prepared to do. That lunar energy, that direction, that journey is going to be really hard. Getting to that goal is going to be really difficult. So let's go the other end. Let's go simple. So we do a spell with a lot of beginners just to get them to really understand how magic works using this triangle. And it's to manifest an orange ball. So if you are that simple a request, I just want an orange ball. Don't care what it looks like, whatever. I just want an orange ball. So okay, well, I just need some energy. I want an orange ball. How many ways possibly could Luna give me that? So, and then what we would normally do is measure how did that happen. So with some witches, that might be they could only manifest a painting, and they saw one in the next street. I've had witches that have tried to manifest this, didn't realise there was an orange marble somewhere in the house, rolls from under their feet straight after the manifestation. Like, you leave it that open and you are prepared for it to be that open, then that's an easy spell to happen. So now if I then tell you to do that in a slightly different way, I'm now going to ask you, I want a pink fountain pen. And I don't want it to just arrive to me. I want someone to hand it me in the hand. Okay? So suddenly you've added a whole new levels of, so that's not just any pen. That's added, it's got to have a nib, because otherwise it's not a fountain pen. Like, do you know what I mean? Like all of that. And I've also said I want it to be handed to me. So how many opportunities in your life are there for someone to have handed you a pen? And that's what people completely don't think about. How hard is what they're asking for? If you're telling me that what I want today is £1 million and the only energy I've got to give is me, how easy are you going to get that £1 million by tomorrow?
But hang on, isn't there other factors that come into this? You know, if you were to give that practice to somebody who wasn't very maybe aware of their energy and their vibration, because isn't part of manifestation, you have to be, your nervous system needs to be in a certain state, your frequency needs to be aligned, because anybody could do that practice maybe and they're not.
Okay, let me answer this in a different way then.
Yeah.
How would you... So I'm asking you to give me this orange ball. I want you to get me this orange ball. Now, you are suddenly now with a migraine and you're feeling sick. You just come down with COVID. I still want that orange ball. How are you going to make that happen? Because you're not in perfect alignment. You're not ready. Your energies are all over the place. Do you think that that's an appropriate's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Is that the best way for you to act as a witch and be able to survive? Because this is a problem for me. Don't feel like I'm telling you off. I'm telling you all off. So the people are too focused about this kind of almost ritually pure approach. And I will blame the Abrahamics for it. So
it's the book, The Secret.
Yeah.
The book, The Secret, but also we have had, particularly in the West, years and years, and 2,000 roughly, 2,000 years of the cross and other parts of Jesus and his cronies, all saying that there needs to be some kind of ritual cleansing. Like, you know, I can only pray in this house, or I can only do this on a Friday. So, like, we have that sits in the back of our head when we approach practice.
So it's a perception, a file that we've created.
Definitely.
But isn't some of it, though, quantum physics? Energy?
But
I don't know.
Triangle.
All of these things are available. I'm not disproving what you're saying. What I'm saying is,
I'm just trying to think what other people might be thinking.
An effective witch needs to be able to practice on your worst day.
Right.
Otherwise, what's the point? If you're telling me I can only practice my big magic when I am perfectly good, that's not when I need it.
Okay.
Someone that's got £1 million and is happy does not need £1 million. Someone that has lost their home, got kids to feed, and has nothing, just lost their job, all of that, they're the person that needs that money, which means either we as a community have to provide it, which means you are completely at the mercy of other people to provide that for you, or you need to be able to pull energy from somewhere. And that's where the manifesting part gets to the next level is, I'm no longer just using me. In order to get the pink fountain pen, do I also need to borrow energy from the tree? Do I need to borrow energy from a planet? Am I having to get a coven of witches together to pull resources to make it happen? So I'm not saying that all the sciencey stuff is there and all of that, but in order for you to, because what you also then have the potential to do is put barriers in your mind for it.
Yeah.
You are then creating extra hurdles that do or don't exist. But if you don't operate from a place where that matters, it's a lot easier, you know. What do they say? Ignorance is bliss. The more that you focus on the 6 million ways that this could go wrong, You're not focusing on the one way that makes it happen.
Yeah, makes sense.
And this is what I've found, because I've been working, I'm not use that word trying, it's so weak, working on manifesting for a long time. And when I look back on my life, the biggest thing that I've ever manifested was our first business, my husband and I. We had absolutely nothing, and yet we ended up with a huge manor house, a business and everything, and because our energies were aligned. We both wanted it. We both believed it. And so even though we were in a place of lack, we believed that we would have it. Okay. And I for me, that's the key thing around it, is that belief. Because otherwise, the thing that confuses me is we have subconscious blocks. I really, I'm working towards this. I'm sending out the right energy, and that triangle is quantum physics.
Yeah,
it's
and that's where the secret
components
makes its money. So the secret makes its money on one of the Hermetic laws, which is the law of attraction, and that works on that, where you have to believe, I am capable, I can do these things, I am worthy, all of those, but they miss the point. The learning by rote to convince yourself is not the same as reality. So being able to transmute energy at all times, regardless of your state, is the best way for you to be in that kind of survival mode. Yes, there are circumstances. All of those things matter. All of those things are valid. But if you can kind of bypass those to a certain extent, in this kind of like, actually, forget everybody else, I need this more.
Yeah.
And then you're not dealing with law of attraction, you're dealing with polarity. And polarity is a much far more fun hermetic law than the law of attraction.
Is a minefield, because it's something that I'm not going to say I'm getting obsessed about it. I'm learning about it, because everything I learn comes back to the same thing: energy. Everything, and it doesn't matter where I'm coming at it from. And it's what makes the world go round. It's literally what we're survive. Everything is energy. And I believe that people, from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to sleep, and still, if they're like you, off working every night through your dreams, they're still they're manifesting. We're just manifesting the wrong things because we're unaware of the power our energy, our voices, how we're living has. But actually harnessing that and honing in on it is confusing me.
But it should, and that's not take that exactly out. It should be.
There's no wrong or right way, really. There's no wrong or right way, and we're not saying that this is the right way, because everybody's different and unique, and you will find the way that works for you. And it's good to sort of take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And
ultimately, it's all semantics. Yeah. What is language offering you? We try and, the word witch, like, for me, it's the only one that I'm comfortable with, and I can't help it. One, it's because witch is very much a profession. So that is a big part of it for me, which is a profession. It's also an accusation. So those two reasons really make it comfortable for me. But it's also very much a verb. It's a doing thing. And I really like that about it. Whereas the word wizard, okay, that immediately makes me think of, someone gazing up at the stars and never really doing anything but collect dusty books. Or, what's the other one? Warlock. I know that's the one you like. Now, warlock was traditionally the word that meant oathbreaker. It was someone that ruined something for, again, however, it has those beautiful dark connotations that I would love to carry around with me. It feels too Halloween for me.
Yeah.
It feels too kind of commercial Halloween.
Yeah.
And there are also lots of historians out there who will argue with me that warlock was never meant to mean oathbreaker, and that's just some made-up thing by... Oh, I'm doing voices now. I've caught it. Whatever that is. So, yeah.
Chris, how did you know that you were a witch? How did it all start for you?
So, I had one of these love and light, traditional kind of white witches in my family. So, one of my favourite people, and he is a complete knob. He should be no one's favourite person. But my granddad was very much this kind of new ager person in the 70s, got very into crystals, all things by Native Americans and other cultures that I have no business messing with, and we're collecting all of these things. The beauty of that meant my granddad had this front room that was just full of books, and every subject you can imagine, lots of wheeled crystals and teeth of all sorts of things and antlers carved into lizards and all sorts of stuff. It was really wonderful. But I realised the first time that I might be a bit different in a witchy kind of way when I was about 4 or 5. And I'm told that I would finish people's sentences with words I didn't know and had no business knowing and could tell you what they meant. And I'm pretty sure at 5 you're not reading dictionaries, even if you are that wonderful. Anyway, so that was the first one.
Yeah.
So the first kind of part was that it was like, I can clearly pick up on something. So I didn't obviously discover witchcraft really till I was about 11, 12, when I could actually read these books that Grandad had and go, that doesn't sound right, or this book's talking rubbish. And that was, I had a real strong sense of that. It was like, I don't like this. This is wrong. Why are they writing it this way?
Oh, wow.
And it grew from there.
Isn't it? So just to interrupt just 1 second on that, because I'm interested in that. So what do you think you were doing then? Is that like a past life ancient wisdom, or you think you were tuning into Blue Alien?
If I'm totally honest, I don't know.
No.
What I can surmise, and from what I know now and things I have access to now, I could make all sorts of guesses.
Yeah.
Some of them would fall in the kind of past life route.
Yeah.
Others would say, was I drawing from the energy around it? Was it mind reading? Is it that I was tapping into the words on the page and feeling that the person actually writing it is an idiot? Do you know what I mean? There are so many ways that I could have been pulling that information from. What's different now is, as my practice has grown, I've spent less and less time on asking why or trying to validate an answer. I think that's a big one. I think lots of people want proof that they're able to do something or can't. And my answer is, who cares? Is it real for you? Is it real enough for you? Because at kind of 11, 12, and the path of the witch for me was very much a case of I had 2 choices. I felt I was at a crossroads. One route said, I'm going to be crazy and someone's going to lock me up and I'm going to be medicated. Or there's the flip side. The second route was, I can actually just explore all this and do whatever it is that I want to explore. And at that point, I stopped asking for permission. And I stopped asking for validation from others about what I could and couldn't see. And now I just base it on, well, actually, I've had a lot of access to a lot of people, beautiful people, some not so beautiful. And every time my answers have given them a new way to look at something, or have given them a way to validate for themselves that access. As long as it works and it keeps working like that and I'm not misleading anybody.
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep doing this as I do.
Yeah. I love it. I can't wait. Can't wait. So I want to talk about detachment really, really quickly, because this is another thing that comes up. Is
that one of the Ds?
Yeah, it's one of the Ds. But one of the buzzwords at the minute is authenticity. Yeah. And I love that. But again, it's becoming so buzzy that I like sovereignty.
Yes.
I think sovereignty is a really strong, word.
She just wants a tiara.
Yeah. And in order to be sovereign, you have to detach.
Yeah.
And so what have you had to detach, and you as well, Kerry, because I know you've been on a real kind of journey of that, recently. What, in order to step into your sovereignty, what have you had to detach from?
I suppose the two things for me is, one, not caring what others think.
Yeah.
And that is always a lot harder than it sounds. It's not as simple as it sounds.
No.
But actually going, their judgment has nothing to do with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is their shit, and they can take it to the bank. I'm not interested. I know that this is how I feel about it, and that is valid. And as soon as you can kind of do that, so that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
The other part for me is owning your shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, that's the other side of that is, well, okay, well, if I'm going to be authentically myself and completely sovereign, I have to own the fact that I just blew that building up.
Yeah.
Or grandma just died.
Yeah.
And not feel sorry for myself about it and go straight to, okay, well, did I mean for that to happen? If I didn't mean for that to happen, how did I mess that up? And not blame somebody else and play the blame and shame.
Yeah.
But
which is so prevalent in society at the minute. And I think there's so many things that encourage that. Society is encouraging that. And it makes me really sad, because what you've just said there, majority of people care way too much. I know that's something I'm still working on because it hurts.
Well, we spoke in the car, didn't we, on the way here about really learning to, because the only thing that really affects your day is your thoughts, your own thoughts, and other people's thoughts. And it's about staying in your lane. And one thing I'm learning is to stay in your lane, because you could be present in the moment and then you could receive a text message, something random, and then it can just start affecting you. But one thing I've learned, the more you know yourself and the more confident about who you are and who you're not, you can really kind of kick it back out. No, sorry, that's not to do with me. So, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But I think the key ingredient is really doing that work on yourself and being confident in yourself. And that's one of the components for me anyway, that kind of stops that from happening and absorbing and letting my day spiral just because somebody said something about me or dropped a comment. So yeah.
Which to me goes back to the road and where we started, really. You've just been cut up by some guy. That's ruined their day. And, there are two ways to deal with that. You either go, well, I hope you crash. And then you have to own the fact that you just said that or thought that. Which, I'm totally good with owning that. But that's because I'm a bit dirty. But whereas, you don't have to. You could then go, well, actually, I'm going to pocket this rage I'm feeling right now, and I'm going to get there quicker.
Yeah.
Because it really can. You can spend what feels like the longest day ever stressing about something someone said, or you can just let it go. Or you can bottle it for later.
Yeah, which I have done. That's been my biggest nemesis, and I'm finally stepping away from that. But my God, and days of wailing on the bed because I don't understand why somebody can be so mean. Who gives a shit? Exactly. But oh my God, it's hurt my heart. That's been a big lesson. And
we've all been there.
Yeah. And I just wish that and I am going to get on my humanity step now, because I wish that we could all learn that lesson.
Do you know what?
Because life would just be so much nicer.
Do you know what we say to each other when we've heard somebody may have said something about us or a scenario? We go, right, okay, so where do you think they are on their consciousness right now? We say it in a completely different way. So that's where they're at the moment, and they're learning this. And I think that's how we articulate it.
And try and be kind. I do try not to send out any, because it makes me, that generates my energy by knowing that I've thanked them. That's what I do now. It's like, thank you very much for highlighting, highlighting that for me.
I used to say, well, if they're talking about me, they're giving someone else another.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, my granny used to say that as well. And it's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is so right. Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end.
I know, but we've got one more thing. We have to say it quickly. What are we dreaming about? What are we creating?
Oh.
What's our triangle?
Mine is a Tropos, which will obviously be my new brand. And that's what I'm going to say about it.
Wow.
Yay,
well, we're going to have you back on.
Yeah.
We're going to have you back on and we're going to talk a little bit deeper about witch magic. So, yeah. Wow. So that sounds exciting.
And you, Kerry, what do you want?
What do I want? I now am stepping into me and what I want to create. I've just recently signed up to do a public speaking course because I feel that I want to share my wisdom and my knowledge and energy with groups of people and support people in that way. So my work's kind of changing a little bit. So yeah, I'm creating me. I'm doing me. That's what I'm doing. High five me, girl. It's another voice.
Yeah.
And what are you?
Very similar to you. You know, I'm creating me, but I really am on this manifesting and witchy wagon. It's the way I'm going. It's the way I want to
Bull
be.
by the horns.
Yeah, bull by the horns. And I want to teach manifestation, but I don't want to teach this. And this is no disrespect to anybody, because there's manifestors out there. But it's the same with anything, that it's got caught up in this commercialized, well, all you've got to do is put it under your pillow and think about it before you go to sleep and it will come to you the next morning. And it doesn't. And I think that creates disappointment. I want to learn how to manipulate energy, to use it, and then to help
Manipulate.
Manipulate? Is that a bad word?
I love the word manipulate.
Yeah. To manipulate energy. So to move it in the way that you want to.
See, we're glitching there.
Glitching.
Love and light. Love and light.
Yeah. Love and light.
Manipulation.
And you said no.
No, but you can manipulate in a good way.
Yeah.
And I want everything to be, for goodness.
Think about massage. You didn't manipulate muscles. You wouldn't get good massage.
It's just moving it in the right way. And then I want to hold workshops and teach people how they can live their best life.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. And so that means mentorship from Chris.
We're all going to be mentored by Chris. Chris, we're going to have you back on to go a little bit deeper into your witch magic. We've just scratched the surface.
I think you should come back next month, do you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
thank you. Have you got any words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom for Halloween.
Oh, well, my answer is always fuck 'em. And whatever that means is entirely up to you. That is, that shit is not mine. Fuck 'em. Like, if you want more of them, fuck 'em. Like, I think fuck 'em works.
Okay.
Have you got a word of wisdom today, Kerry?
Word of wisdom.
A Halloween word of wisdom.
Nothing comes to mind at this point because you've put me on the spot. You may go forth.
And multiply.
Yeah, and multiply. I would say you are amazing, and step into that and be powerful, like the phoenix from the ashes.
Yeah, I think for me, if you're not happy in whatever situation that you're in, you have the strength. And like Paula said, you're amazing. So,
fuck her.
You can't help it. Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween.